Alright, today I have a record video, and it may not be for everybody, but I wanted to share with you my musical tastes and some things I didn't know about. And it's really fun going up to Discogs, or it was really fun. You know, you expect your records to come within 1 or 2 weeks, and then, what is 12, 13 days? That's 2 weeks or something. So after somebody said they were going to ship it, they took 12 days, to let me know it was shipping. Absolutely ridiculous. And I still have no tracking number. And that was after it was delayed, 3/4 of a month. So I'm not worried about that one anymore. If it comes, it comes. If it doesn't, well, I'm probably out $35 unless I can figure out how to get my money back from the PayPal or whatever, but we'll figure that one out. Anyway, this is what came in. One record was purchased, shockingly, at the Goodwill bin store. They do not sell records unless they get, overwhelmed with stuff, or not very many come in, and so they just don't, stock them up anymore. So there was a bunch of classical music CDs and one rock record, if you can call it that. So this one here, and I've wanted the soundtrack or wanted to see this terrible. I think you can watch the terrible movie on YouTube for free. I think it's called Roller Boogie, and it just got panned by the critics, and it was just like, there's probably nothing wrong with the movie. It just basically just does not have any big stars or flair in it. The stars in this movie here were Linda Blair, and we've got Jim Bray. I wanted to get his autograph, but he doesn't sign TTM from what I understand. I'm running into a problem where people are not signing. Beverly Garland, Roger Perry, Jimmy Van Patten, one of the big ones there. Kimberly Beck, Sean McClory, and Mark Goddard. Those are the people that were featured in there. There's a scene from the film. I think I'm not sure. That might be the opening scene right there. I really don't know. I thought the clothes were pretty fun. That's what people are striving for, is the vintage clothes there. So just for that alone, I might be interested in that. But there are songs mostly by the person that put this together here. Most of the songs are done by Bob Etsy, who spelled exactly like Etsy, the media platform, the selling platform, produced and arranged and conducted by. But there's one song by Earth, Wind, and Fire, and one song by Cher on here. So I guess if you like Cher, but again, this was a 2 LP set here, unfortunately. But thankfully, they only charged me one at $1.29. That's what I paid for, and it's pretty much junk. But better condition copies are anywhere between $5 and $10. So it's not like I spent a lot of money on that for something. But I always thought I kind of wanted that for whatever reason. It got suggested to me in some sort of YouTube videos or something, and I watched, and it's supposedly the worst disco movie of all time. But I picked these up from one seller. They all have the same inventory sticker on here. This one here I can only half peel off, so I'm going to try to heat that off or something. Be very careful. Somebody picked off this sticker here and left a bunch of dings and scratches on it. It's kind of glaring there, but it's on the back of the LP, 12-inch. And this was originally $9.99 back in like the early 2000s or something. I think this came, copyright Ronster Records 2000. And this is King of Spin. And I listened to it. It sounds like it's hip-hop, but it really isn't. It's more some sort of techno that kind of floats in between, the early 2000s and modern stuff there, because the modern stuff, borrows from all genres there. So I think that's, it's acceptable. And I was only invested in $2 because $1 for the record plus an additional $1 for the shipping. It cost me $1 for shipping. $7 was paid for shipping total, because each record was $1 a piece, and then I guess if you bought crazy tons more. These came, I believe, from Los Angeles. And this one here is Jules, We Belong. I know nothing about this one here, but I will say that I wanted to give it a shot. And this is the front of the album cover. There's Jules right there. And the thing is that I could not find this on YouTube to listen to, so it's a blind purchase here. This one I think was $3. This was $2 for the 12-inch, and $1 for the $1 additional for the shipping. And again, another one of those inventory stickers. And it said original cover. versus generic sleeve, but this might be the original cover as a generic sleeve. So that's kind of confusing in Discogs. You know, people just have different assumptions, because the thing is that you only get generic images through Discogs, so you don't always, I mean, say generic images, but one shot there which may or may not feature the cover. And then this one, the 12-inch is on CD, and the CD features this particular cover for the dust jacket. It does not have a blank cover. So that's what's very, very confusing. Several people on YouTube, more than eBay, get really hammered in the feedback, get negative feedback. We said this is not the record representative, because they're using stock images from Discogs. And I think I showed one in a previous video showing one of these had, this particular record had number 136 marked on it, right across it. And somebody used that for their image. And it's really frustrating because they come with different covers, different artwork, different variants. People just do only half of their homework. They don't have time to research every $4 record that they put out there. So this cost me $3 essentially. And it was like $5 plus shipping on eBay, so it would have been $10. And that's why I like to do a combination. But a lot of people just don't have enough of the stuff that I want. Somebody, Concert Buddy, shout out, name drop, they just did a video. They have 4 or 5 panel members that are usually there each week. And they do a video wrap-up of some sort of like... what do you call it? The events of the record of store day or whatever, you know. It's kind of like what For Collectors and those guys do, talk about Strongsville sort of thing. It's really interesting, you know, if you don't mind a few F-bombs that get thrown in there by Jose or whoever it was. They subscribe to me, so I subscribe back. But they were talking about the toughest genre or the toughest, you know, artist or the toughest this to find for your record collecting. And one guy saying, being in Mexico City or wherever he's at, condition is impossible to find anything in good condition. My problem here is trying to find any decent, I want to say techno, but that's the kind of trance or techno that is, you know, an asserted price range above the year 2000. I'm only looking for mostly the 2000s and above. 2003 and on would be probably happy for me. So this one here is Toktok versus Soffy Odea Mine. I mentioned it in one of my videos, and I showed it to one of my viewers. I gave him the link to the video, and he said it's pretty catchy, and it is. Odea Mine, Ludicrous Idiots. And this is actually from the video. They showed, you know, these red gloves peeking out of the... People are jumping up and down in the flowers and the wheat or whatever. And then these red gloves would appear. Just kind of an artistically done video, and I kind of enjoyed that. And there's Miss Soffy right there. I'm guessing she's in her late 50s, early 60s right now. Being, you know, a little bit older in the year 2003. I don't really know. I think she's out of Sweden, but don't roast me over the coals with that one there. Toktok versus Soffy Odea Mine, Ludicrous Idiots on side A is Starcase vocal, and then Staircase vocal, and then we've got side B, the auto-tune remix, and then 2 is original, supposedly. So that's kind of interesting there. And it says, Day of Mine, Ludicrous Idiots is taken from the critically acclaimed album. And then there's some other information there. This is from www.codeblue.uk. I think I have some other stuff on Code Blue, so that's really cool. I'll show you the record in here. This one was $5. People are asking usually $5, but in some cases, but it's usually more than that. So so I've seen 10, 15, 20 bucks. And there's different editions and versions of some of these things here. So if this would be the one that I wanted here, only because I enjoyed the video so much, it pays homage to that on the cover. Us record collectors, just to have, whether it's the best release, but it's the release that I enjoyed the most. People were asking me, well, how did I find this? And I said, I don't know. I think it might have been in the suggested off to the side there. I think it was an MTV video or MTV2 or whatever it was in the corner of the YouTube video here. But let's take a look at this, and again with the green sticker there, the yellow stickers and a green one. I don't know what those numbers meant, but could have been some sort of DJ's personal. The only unfortunate thing is that this edge has been really hammered. shoved in and squashed or something. It was probably sticking out somewhere and got beat up there. And you never know if this guy took it to some sort of event or whatever. But the vinyl looks like it's pretty clean. Maybe it was electrosonically cleaned, or whatever you call it. And there's the red gloves again. I don't know the significance of that at all, but it's kind of fun. Maybe it's, you know, an overseas thing. I don't know. And then there's the other side there with some, you know, very faint markings there. So really cool, that one there. And that was on my wish list. It just that, you know, because that one record did not appear for so long, I said, let's make an order. So like I said, this was $15 for those three. I think was pretty fair. And then it's some kind of slip sleeve there with a little plastic window there. And that's pretty much it for that one there. So again, records are the hottest thing on the planet, whether people want to believe it or not. But what's not hottest on the planet is stuff that dates back to the 50s and the 60s. That's the instrumental stuff. Nobody wants the classic music. There are classical music collectors, but they want the finest of recordings and the crispest of covers. Again, this record would be panned by so many people, but it's new enough, you know, it's from the 2000s, and people are like, wow, that's quite the new record. Think of that this way, that's over 20 years ago, so this is not a new record by any means. But that, look up Toktok versus Soffy, Oh Day of Mine. I might even try to link it in the description there to that particular video. I don't know, the bass line or whatever caught me. It's somewhere between, you know, pop music and techno, if that makes any kind of sense. I think that's going to be finishing up the video. I had to make it twice because the phone rang, but it was important. Phone call this time. It wasn't telemarketer that goofed me up. If you have any questions about what I picked up and why I picked it up, you know, versus, you know, whatever. But again, this kind of music is the hardest stuff for me to find because I can buy it nowhere. Virtually nowhere. I understand that there's DJ records out there at record stores, but again, now a lot of that stuff dates back to the 90s and the 80s, and that is not what I'm looking for. Anything with rap and stuff like that. I loved rap when I was a kid to some degree, but I love 90% none of it. So there's probably a good 10% of rap that I would probably even care for. If that offended you, too bad, so sad, but I gotta have lunch now, and thank you for watching.